The Community Police Forum in Khayelitsha has renewed its calls for the declaration of a state of emergency in Cape Town's violence hotspots such as Nyanga, Gugulethu, Khayelitsha and Manenberg. This follows yet another round of mass killings. This time in Manenberg, 8 people were killed as a result of gang violence between Thursday and Saturday last week. And on Monday, 5 bodies with bullet wounds were discovered in Khayelitsha. CPF's Francina Lucas has pleaded with government to intervene to avoid the loss of more lives.
As the CPF, we are very much concerned by the high levels of violence that we see in our communities, especially over the past few weeks. And it's reminiscent of the time we went through in 2019. And at that particular time, we did ask for a state of emergency, especially in your hotspot areas, because we felt that crime is totally out of control. We also asked for the deployment of the army to assist police as a force multiplier. Today, we are back at a similar situation. And what we really want to see is the reduction of crime in our hotspot areas. You know, areas like Gugulethu, Langa, Manenberg, Khayelitsha, Philippi, those are the hotspot areas that we are very much concerned about. And what we would like to see is interventions from government in those areas. And I can refer to interventions like, yes, deployment of the army to assist police in executing their duties, because even the police, they are not safe. So we need a force multiplier. Also more strict rules in that area where it's concerning the movement of people, especially late at night. That will really help us to see a reduction in the crime.
Lucas believes the violent crimes and mass shootings in the hotspots are as a result of organized crime, which she says needs specialized attention.
No more needs to be done. If you look at the gangsterism and you look at the mass shootings, that tells us it's organized crime, and it cannot be policing as per normal. If it's organized crime, we need to change the approach. We need to really enact the prevention of crime, the prevention of organized crime act, the POCA Act, so that these people that are committing these crimes can be dealt with accordingly.
Let's speak more on this. We're joined by Anroux Marais, Acting MEC for Community Safety in the province. Thank you very much, ma'am, for availing yourself this afternoon. What's the plan?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to our viewers as well. The plan is we still have a 72-hour action plan that will end today. But the plan is, and what we already did, we deployed LEAP officers. That's our law enforcement advancement plan officers to help us in Manenberg and also in Khayelitsha. But with Manenberg now, we've had some successes already. So that was the immediate plan that we've done.
And in the long term, this is not the first time that this is rearing its ugly head, with a number of children also losing their lives, a whole generation being wiped out senselessly and unnecessarily so.
Yes, the long plan is that we're working very well together with SAPS. We've been visiting this morning at Manenberg, the Premier and I, and we're working very well, as I've said, with SAPS, as well as the neighborhood watches and our CPFs. And then we also want to look at our services, you know, where there's no street lights, to ask our councillors to be very aware of the safety, you know, if there's more safety in our streets. But what we're doing now is all our police officers and working with the community.
You speak of working with the community. Throughout the day here on the program, our reporters are on the ground speaking to community members. The overarching message is that they want to see you at their doorstep. They want to see that you are visible. They want to see that you care about the issues that are impacting them. While we appreciate that this is just an acting position and you've just inherited this for the time being.
Yes, I'm just acting, but it doesn't mind. You know, we still do the work and we must still be active. And I've attended this morning, and I will also visit Khayelitsha before the end of this week, the police stations, and then we work through our neighborhood watches as well as our CPFs, as I've said.
Is that enough, ma'am? And I'll ask you because I'm sure you are no doubt familiar with the stats. You've got, in 12 months in the Western Cape, 1,421 children dying, 185 were murdered, 380 killed in accidents, 370 were still under investigation, which is a concern that one of the community members in terms of an NGO, Molo Shongololo, pointed out, that this then gives the perception that this can continue because there are no consequences. Do you feel like you have a handle on the situation?
I think we do have a handle on the situation, but it's also very important that the whole community work together. It's a whole of society approach. And it's not only the SAPS members or the CPF or the neighborhood watchers. We have to change the behavior in our society. And I think that is the most important. It's not easy, but I think we will get there bit by bit. But at this time, it's very important for me just to see the social fabric and see how we can change that with our interventions.
You speak of the social fabric. Let's listen to the organizer of Molo Shongololo, the NGO, on the ground in terms of what they would like to see where that point is concerned.
Well, basically, it once again sort of highlights how unsafe the lives of our children are, particularly the lives of children on the Cape Flats. They live in very, very violent communities, that their homes are not safe, their environment is not safe, and or even their schools. Just on Monday, for example, my colleagues at a Monday staff meeting reported about all the violence that their children have experienced, their schools have experienced. From Atlantis, for example, we had reports that there's been outbreaks there of violence, gang-related violence in Atlantis. In Lavendale, there's been outbreaks of violence. In Bishop Lavis, we had stories. In Hanover Park, we've had some stories. Manenberg, of course, now the killings there that we've just witnessed. And then, of course, the horrible killings in Khayelitsha as well. And there's been also other reports. On Saturday, we couldn't have some children at our programs because of violence that they have been exposed to in their communities. So this really affects all of us. And I think the problem that we have is that we are not really addressing the systemic violence that is happening in our communities. That we have had reports that children as young as 7 years of age are being recruited into gangs, to be gangs. So there's something terribly wrong, that the gangs or these kind of phenomenon that is happening on the Cape Flats, where groups of men and groups of people are organizing themselves and using violence to claim their territories, to claim their business, for example, and also to claim people, basically.
MEC Marais, that's the voice of Patrick Solomons, just detailing the amount of pain or difficulty that they are faced with, especially for children in this community. You speak of addressing the social ills or looking at the social fabric of society or makeup. There are a number of socioeconomic issues that are leading people to, get into this activity and recruit children as an extension. What are the ideas around that and creating employment for people or getting them into programs where they have a purpose for the day?
Coming from the Department of Culture and Affairs and Sport, that's my prime ministry, we use our youth employment programs, our year beyond programs, our programs of after school to get all our children involved. And we do have programs for after school when they did matric, and they can be at what we call our yearbook program, so that they can apply and they attend these programs just for a year to give them the skills for employment. That's just one of two of the programs that we have. And then also the Department of Social Development is also very involved with programs for our youth, for skills training, and just to get them employable. And, I also think that we need some heroes, that the gangster or is not a hero in the kids' eyes. So we have used some of our sporting and culture heroes to address the behavioral change in the communities.
Anroux Marais is the acting MEC for Community Safety in the Western Cape. Thank you for availing yourself this afternoon.